Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you a 2015 France fantasy horror film called Don't Grow Up. Spoilers ahead. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The movie begins with a group of juveniles on an island where a youth center is located. They freely rave on the premises without adult supervision, with the building clearly isolated and left among themselves. Gossiping about sex, mingling around, and the like. It's what these adolescents know best. These young delinquents comprise Pearl, Bastian, Liam, Sean, May, and Thomas. They play at the youth center's basketball court while chatting about what teenagers usually talk about. One such interaction is when Liam starts to brag that he owns a yacht, implying his wealth. He then gets called out by one of them, being asked why he's in the youth center in the first place if he's a wealthy person. Later, the group continues to party in the surveillance center of the premises. Despite minors, they drink alcohol, play obnoxious music, smoke recreational drugs, and do all sorts of shenanigans. The renegades continue dismantling their residential center without regard for consequences. The occasion is the gang's way of celebrating May's birthday. Still, Pearl gets so wasted in the process that she taunts Liam into kissing him. He almost falls for her seductive trap by doing it in front of his girlfriend May, to which he gains control of himself. Seeing that May is upset by this gesture, he tries to apologize, but his girlfriend chooses to ignore his apology. Bastian, indolent from the rest, chooses to spend time in the laundry room, flashing back to a memory of himself as a child. Recalling playing with his little sister, he is approached by his drunken father. The latter intoxicatingly asks him why he isn't in school while attempting to beat him up along with his sibling. Their mother grabs a shotgun, points it at her husband, and they fight while their children flee. A gunshot is fired from the weapon as Bastian snaps back from his traumatic memory, sitting on a dryer. Getting bored of partying at their premises, Liam asserts that they all go inland to the supermarket to celebrate the rest of May's birthday. Pearl attempts to invite Bastian with them, explicitly expressing her interest in him as he hesitantly leaves with the group. Finally, they reach downtown and find their supervisor Anton's car crashed. One of them sheepishly suggests going back, but Liam insists that since they've already arrived at their destination, with their overseer nowhere to be seen, they have no choice but to make way for the gas station supermarket. And so Liam, Thomas, and Sean enter the abandoned establishment while the rest remain outside. As the three boys loot the store, Bastian, who is stuck with the girls, notices a disturbance emanating from the second floor of the apartment in front of the supermarket. As Pearl questions his actions, he conducts it anyway while he walks for the front door of the building. Pearl is then asked by May about Bastian, whom she then warns Pearl that she should stay away from her boyfriend. Meanwhile, the boys who went inside the gas station loot as much stuff as they please, even ending up in possession of a gun, but are disturbed when they hear a broadcast warning of cataclysmic proportions. Simultaneously, May spots who seem to be Anton, and so Thomas tries to call his brother outside the store building but receives a message of distress. On the other hand, upon arriving on the second floor, Bastian sees a mother with a bloodied neck embracing her daughter. He tries to rescue both, but the door is barricaded, and the little girl, Holly, tells him to stay away from them, the grown-ups. Holly's mother begins to tighten her grip on her child. Bastian, helpless as he is obstructed by the doorway, tries to save the little girl, but she ends up dying in the same hands that gave life to her. Meanwhile, Anton approaches May and suddenly assaults her, to which she slashes his abdomen, barely escaping from her attacker. Thomas is then met with another grown-up wielding a crowbar, beating him to death. Unknown to them, Liam and Sean find his blood splattering on the store window when a seemingly crazed man breaks into the establishment. They hastily run from the apartment building, and Bastian shouts for Pearl to run away with him for the others. Thomas's murderer prepares to kill Liam, who's unable to move from shock but is killed when Sean shoots him with the gun they found. All the teens regroup and pull up an oncoming car. The car, manned by a little boy named Harry, is commandeered by Liam, along with Anton harassing their vehicle. Shaking Anton off as they speed up, the bunch are horrified to discover the extent of the disaster that has stricken their island as they drive through the streets, with the population seemingly zombified. May is bleeding severely, so they must find a safe place to relieve her. Going through a forest road, their headlights reveal in front of them a cop car where their vehicle's tires get punctured by a road spike, resulting in them crashing into an adjacent station wagon, staggering to a halt. Seemingly infected by the unknown disease, The police officer crawls in the disabled automobile's direction. Seeing this, Harry hastily departs the vehicle and grabs the cop's gun to shoot him, hesitating to do so at first. After hitting the zombified policeman, he aims the gun at Liam, then Sean next. Pointing the weapon towards him, he exclaims that Sean is one of them, but he shuts the boy up by bluntly denying it. The boy then runs into the woods, only out of their view as the gang makes way. Despite the revelation that children can sniff out newly infected grown-ups, the group merely discards this information, much to their misfortune. Driving farther away from any infected, they finally make a stop at an abandoned home in the middle of a forest. In the living room of the house, as May is laid down to rest, they discuss what to do about their survival. Suddenly, Sean charges his friend for being selfish after Liam points him out of being blamed by Harry. He anxiously suspects that his friends also think he's infected. Meanwhile, Bastian hears a ringing from a landline and observes that it's receiving a call from the basement level of the house. He, Liam, and Pearl descend while Sean is left to accompany a wounded May. Below is a laboratory where the grown-up epidemic originated from. Sean picks up the receiver from the wall landline. He eavesdrops on the 3 reading logs from the scientist responsible for this outbreak. The documents depict that he released a contaminant that makes adults hurt children. The scientist in charge is no exception to his contagion as he begs for forgiveness from his daughter for what he's about to do. Upon this discovery, Pearl insists that there's nothing wrong with Sean, and being on the receiving end of all of this, Sean is very distraught. As the teenagers listen to the voice logs left behind by the researcher for his work, they decide that they cannot remain in such a place any longer. Suggestions become desperate as they propose to make it to the mainland until Pearl points out that Liam's father owns a boat. However, she then discards the idea anyway, presuming his father may also be infected, but Liam rejects this travesty. When Pearl asks what to do about May, Liam claims it's every man for himself, proving Sean's accusation correct. In the researcher's daughter's bedroom, Bastian plays a mini piano, to which Pearl hears this and tries to flirt with him. Unfortunately, Bastian doesn't feel the same towards her, so he brings up several reasons why he doesn't like her back, including making a remark about her awful fashion sense and claiming that Pearl wants Liam due to the incident back at the center. She denies Bastian's allegations and prepares to make her leave. Before she does, however, he invites her back to stay with him. Pearl leans onto Bastian's side and dozes off while everyone else is in discomfort. Sean, looking over May, attempts to convince her that he's not infected like the others, rejecting his adulthood. Shook up by his demeanor, the injured girl only grows more rattled as Sean invades her personal space. While sleeping with Pearl, Bastian once more flashes back to his childhood memory, whose trauma's conclusion is yet to be fully revealed, as his child self stares into a hole in the wall created by the shotgun blast. Upon waking up, he notices that Sean and May are missing from the living room, and they then look out from a window to see that Sean has abducted May. Completely delirious and uneasy, a tense Sean throws May into their acquired car and kills her in his state of confusion, only to return to his senses to realize what he had done. Along with Bastian, Liam, seeing his girlfriend dead at the hands of his companion, is understandably furious as the infected young man looks towards his friend with complete remorse, begging to be finished off himself. But, without any other choice, Liam has to do what's necessary. Still, he is reluctant to do so despite Sean's pleas and the death of his partner. And so Bastian takes the gun from Liam and does the deed as an act of mercy. Once again, they drive away, carrying in the car May's corpse as they plan on burying her. Passing by trees, the infected, and hills, they finally bury her on a rocky plain. They question whether they're infected or not, which drives them further into distrust. Liam, carrying a note, then walks away from the two, but a gunshot is heard from the distance, accompanied by a wail of pain from him. He collapses to the ground as another gunshot bounces off near Bastian. They're caught off guard as Harry, with a fellow child, appears from the ruggedness of the terrain. The two loads into a car, and Harry drives off with his accomplices. On the verge of death, Liam hands them the note he held bearing the address of his father's boat as his last act before passing away. The two bury him next to May, wherein Bastian reads out the note, containing an inscription by Liam's father, giving the address of his boat's location to his son if he ever came back. They mourn for a while, then head off for the hills. By sundown, they notice a trailer home, where they make their stay for the night, and they begin talking to each other, sharing their emotions, and questioning their respective natures of adulthood. In a laundry room, a younger Bastian finds amidst the floor his little sister in a pool of her blood. She, along with him, is caught in the crossfire of her parents and attempts to hide behind the laundry room wall, only to end up dead when the gunshot goes straight into her head. Bearing the bloodied remains of his sibling in his arms, his recollection is disturbed by Pearl's attempts to repose him from his third and final nightmare regarding his childhood anguish. Whimpering, he blames himself for the demise of his little sister, but Pearl meets him with her confession of love to cease his weeping. After his consolation, Pearl comforts Bastian with her body as they kiss each other in bed. The next day, she calls him outside the trailer for an awakening. She leads him to a lake in a valley between the hills. They make out and frolic in the water. Still, their fleeting enjoyment is disrupted by a dead body floating in Pearl's direction, sending her screaming. As they return to the trailer, they detect 3 kids trying to search for any scrap of food they can find inside. Exiting the trailer with acquired goods, the 3 youngsters are threatened away with Bastian holding a small knife. Still, his weapon is far outclassed by one of the kids as he wields a gun, forcing Bastian to yield his edge. However, despite getting the upper hand, the 2 other children carry their loot but desert their third companion at the hands of Bastian and Pearl. Inside the mobile home, their newly acquired company begins to notice something awry with Bastian as the young child remains close by Pearl's side, keeping her distance from the young adult. Akin to Harry detecting Sean's infection back at the forest road before any of the teenagers could, the little girl implicitly sends the same message to both. Pearl, on the other hand, cannot handle this inference and consoles the child as a way to assure her that Bastian isn't infected like the others. Soon enough, they exit the trailer to make way for the mainland. While the 3 walk further and further into the hills, they stumble upon a coastal settlement set ablaze, whose entry is fired upon by its remaining uninfected child inhabitants. Dodging the hail of bullets, they run for the coast and reach Liam's father's address. A downtrodden shack riddled with pictures of a young Liam carried by his old man, his previous remarks regarding his supposed affluence remind the remainder of the gang that he lied about it and did it to impress. If anything, his most significant asset is his friendships with his fellow youth. Running towards the beach, Pearl, the young child, and Bastian make a run for the boat, but as he boards the 2 girls onto the vessel, he gets shot multiple times by one of the armed children from the town set in flames. His sacrifice grows ever more significant, considering he got likely shot for being infected and wouldn't have stayed anyway for the same reason. The 2 girls let go of him as they make their way to the mainland and into safety. Pearl cries as the lone survivor of her pack and drifts away from her lover for a day, lying dead on shore. Towards salvation, the teens had tried to survive at the expense of their lives, with Bastian, who demonstrated self-sacrifice for the others to escape, and Liam giving up what mattered to him most when he granted his last remaining friends a chance. Pearl finally ends up with the conclusion that she has reached adulthood, the very concept that her companions deny. She contemplates her future as she navigates the boat with a child in her arms, holding what she used to be and heading off to what her future beholds. Looking back at the island reminds her that she has no choice but to move forward and grow up. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.